Boston Garden was one of the great arenas in hockey at that time. You know, the fans were on top of you. They were knowledgeable. Just the way they announced your names was worth the price of admission for a player.
But it was the passionate fan base, the fact that the place was always sold out, how much they loved their players and their team, the rich tradition and history of the organization and the franchise, and every time you put that jersey on home ice, man, what a feeling that was.
Being in the Boston Garden, I mean, you go out and warm up and you're, wow, this is something. It was special. I know they were there the Bruins wanted to show off their prospects, but for us it was, oh my gosh, here we are at Boston Garden.
The old Boston Garden was such an interesting place to play. And I remember we were in the playoffs in May, and it's a weekend. Celtics are in the playoffs, we're in the playoffs. And it's a heat wave. It's Boston, 85, 88 degrees. And the Boston Garden doesn't have any air conditioning. The Celtics play Sunday afternoon, and we play Sunday night. And there's no air conditioning. And by the time we get to Sunday night, it's like 110 at ice level. And you go out and it's hazy, you know, fog's coming up and everything like that. It was so hot that before the game I weighed in at 196 pounds. And after the game I weighed out at 184. 12 pounds I lost that night. 12 pounds.
It was an intimidating building, I think, for opposing teams, and you can talk to different players who had to go in there and play in the Garden, and it was a hard place to play. You know, not only that it was a smaller ice surface, but obviously the fans being on top of you.
It was loud.
3-2 Boston. Steal by Jenny. Jenny in. Scores! Craig Jenny stole from Denico. Went in. Fake Bourque and made it 4-2.
And it was steep, and the fans hung right over the Garden ice, and you definitely felt them. And in a playoff game, when you're going into the corner and you hit somebody and the crowd just goes crazy, I mean, the energy level, you really have to almost take a deep breath and not get too carried away, because that's how hyper it was in that type of environment.
Just the atmosphere and people on top of you. You know, that place would actually, on the ice, you'd feel the tremble. You know, when that place lit up, you'd just feel that vibration.
Gets it. Bourque in front. Score! Raymond Bourque. The Bob Carpenter power play. 2-0 Boston.
On the ice and that sound, and I just remember that one guy up in the corner that would slap that metal piece right in front of the balcony, and I mean, poor hand, but he would get the fans going and just to support.
And Boston Garden was one of the great arenas in hockey at that time. You know, the fans were on top of you. They were knowledgeable. Just the way they announced your names was worth the price of admission for a player.
I had played in the Garden, and always a very unique building, because most people don't realize back then some of the buildings were smaller. The ice surface was smaller. Boston was the smallest, and to play in that every single night, the fans are on top of you. Very electric, and every playoff round you go, it gets a little bit more and more, and great experience.
I don't know if I could have played in a better building in the league.
Bourque, screenshot, save, rebound, and it's Neely scoring! Pam Neely on the rebound of the Ray Bourque shot.
I loved the energy. I loved how the fans were on top of you. I loved the size of the ice surface. I think that was very beneficial for someone like myself. I don't know how comfortable it was for the fans, but it was great as a player to play in that building. Absolutely one of the best feelings, stepping on the ice of the old Garden.
So the dimensions of the rink, number one, but just the way it was so layered and people were right on top of you. You feel like they could reach out and touch you, And I wasn't a spectator. I wasn't dealing with, obstructed view seats. I had the best seat in the house. When I wasn't on the ice, I was on the bench. So, no, but it was the passionate fan base, the fact that the place was always sold out, how much they loved their players and their team, the rich tradition and history of the organization and the franchise, and every time you put that jersey on home ice, man, what a feeling that was, you know. So I loved playing at the Garden for all those reasons.
Being in the Boston Garden, and I mean, you go out and warm up, and you're wow, this is something. It was special. It was. I know they were there to the Bruins wanted to show off their prospects, but for us it was, oh my gosh, here we are, Boston Garden, big crowd, much bigger rinks than we play in back home. So yeah, it was an exciting time for all of us.